This episode of Film Riot is brought to you by Domain.com.
Today on Film Riot, we critique a short film with Seth Worley. Welcome to Film Riot, the show that takes mystery out of the effects techniques, going some of your favorite Hollywood films. I'm your host, Ryan Conley, and we're doing something a little bit different today. We did do it once before where we watched a short film and then I gave my opinions on that short, but you guys have been asking for it again ever since, so we're doing it again today, but this time with guest Seth Worley. And the short film that we picked is called On My Way. It's from Make Do Entertainment on YouTube. There's a link to the short film in the notes, so definitely watch it before you finish this episode because we're not going to show the short film. We're just going to start talking about it and we're going to spoil the whole thing. And me and Seth are on Skype while talking through this, which is what we're looking at. It's our computer screens. Of course, everything that we're about to say is all personal, subjective opinion. If you like our work, that opinion might mean something to you. If not, well, then there you go.
Logo. Okay, so we'll jump right into it. We'll just watch it and talk about it as we go. And I guess we could talk about what we liked about it first and then jump into some constructive criticism. One of the things that I really loved about it was just the style that they took.
Yeah, and I love that you didn't really pick up on it until he got in the car.
It was kind of one of those, wait a minute, is this still happening? Moments.
Well, at first I was like, this is a weird choice, because I thought it was going to be just one shot. But then when the door shut and you saw him in the mirror right here, I was like, okay, you could have just cut to this.
Yeah.
And then did this, I was like, well, this feels Zemeckis-y, like Castaway with the package shot. And then that right there with the mirror, I was like, all right, nope, these guys are ambitious and they know what they're trying to do. And I really appreciate
And then all
that.
I was thinking right here was, please drive away with the shot still going. I really like how they handled the text messaging as well.
I did, but I'm a little nitpicky. The font, it's like...
The font, I did not like.
It's like...
That's the crazy thing about that stuff. It makes such a difference between it feeling pro and it feeling kind of a little off.
Because it felt like Geneva or Arial or something that or Lucida.
Too generic.
That just... It's your default font.
And I feel like something other than just the flat white on there, making it live in the world a little bit more, would have had like a big difference.
I thought they took a little bit too long to get to that moment.
Really?
Yeah, here's what it is. I didn't feel like there was enough interesting stuff happening in the mundane part of it for me to get sidetracked and focused on.
Really?
I don't know. I just felt like as it was driving, I was like, well, something's going to happen. I could be totally wrong. Again, I'm watching this on YouTube and not in the theater where I probably would have been a little more immersed in it.
I can see what you're saying. I really loved this moment. I think it could have started sooner. I think you're right. But I don't think it's off by that much. It would have been great if he was kind of already running.
I totally agree. If you had come
and
up...
I think that would have been way more unnerving, too.
Exactly.
I thought the performances were actually pretty convincing for the most part.
Oh, yeah. I want to know, is he operating
really
camera?
Job. See, that's what I was curious about. I was picking apart how they could have pulled this off, and I had a few ideas of how they could have done it, but I'm not 100% sure how they did it, whether it was a motorized head or if there was somebody operating at each stop.
That feels like a person operating it.
It does.
A couple moments. I really did like this. Here, the focus was off, but who cares? I love that they kept it anyway for performance.
See, I was opposite. The focus for me hurt it a bit because I was totally taken out of the moment and distracted by the bush behind the car.
But I imagine they had a take where focus was on, and I'm glad they went. I like that they went with the one where focus
I would have
off.
went with performance as well.
When we swing around to find they're standing up now, I almost would have loved for that to have been found like on its own by either if the camera had been in a position where when he opens the door it reveals it, but like it being actual hand motivated turning panning, it just made it less shocking to see. Does that make sense?
That's actually a part of my note. I had a few things about this moment which I'm being really nitpicky. I guess we'll just
let's put
this
out of the way. We're being really nitpicky because
it's great.
Yes, that's a big compliment that we're being nitpicky. Otherwise, we'd be super.
Yeah, I guess we should have said that up front. Like, this is a solid short film.
Yeah.
I really like where it was going. The style was great. The way they shot it was really confident and very well done. But there were little things that held it back just a touch. That if just tweaked, this would have been just over that line of just awesome. But this moment, a few things that kind of pulled me out, and it didn't quite land as hard as it should have in the disturbing factor, which I think this moment that they built to really could have been that, oh, God, moment. But it didn't quite fully hit that for me, and I think the focus pulled me out. I was focusing on the background instead of being in the moment. And then I agree with panning to them kind of took it out a little bit. I would have loved to have something like, when I was watching it, what I was hoping that they were going to do was sort of play with that side mirror again, to where it turned to the side mirror.
Me
the side
too.
mirror caught them.
Me too. That's what
and that would have been oh god.
You know what would have been great if they could have figured out a way to where it would have been on the mirror and on his face, and then when he opens it, it then turns the mirror reveals what they want to reveal in the mirror as he opens the door. That would have been very cool.
Admittedly, with the setup that they're doing, that would have been really difficult to pull off. But finding a different way to reveal that, I think, would have made a big difference. And my other really nitpicky thing is how the kid on the right is standing. Distracted me. It's not a very menacing stance. It's more
because
like
the guy on
it
the
looks
left...
like a really, really nice dude trying to be menacing. You know what I mean?
Yes, it does.
I mean, it's all the same. Horror, comedy, action, it's all the same. The second you're trying to be funny, trying to be cool, or trying to be scary, it's not anymore.
Yeah.
You know? So it's like, I feel like the guy on the right is trying to be creepy, where the guy on the left is just, it's just there. Standing there. Yeah. Whereas, like, if you just stand there staring with this situation, that would have been creepy on its own. We don't need to try to amp that up. I thought it was really smart to go with all these, like, whip pans and stuff. It just felt like we were in the world instead of just staring at a car. It gave it really good production value, I think.
They're looking at him the majority of the first half of the short, and it's like not till the second half of the short that they're actually turning and panning and seeing stuff outside the car as the car is moving, which was great. Holding back and restraining and saving it for the end, I thought was really smart.
This is one thing that kind of bothers me with a lot of shorts, mostly with action films, but this is kind of an action moment. There's just no commitment there in his action. I mean, if this was really
was he supposed to be?
Car,
he would have jumped right up on it.
He would have attacked that thing. So I would have really loved to seen like the disturbing like violence of that moment, which you could have done without damaging the car. You just have to physically commit to that and do big motions and then handle it in sound. And that was a big problem.
No, look at that. No, look. As a still, that comp works. This happens to me all the time. As a still, the shininess looks pretty slick. But it isn't until you see it in motion that like it all falls apart completely.
Well, even there, it doesn't look in the room because we're having like that serious reflection up by the top where there's shadow. So I feel like with some masking, it could have blended a bit more. Plus, it feels like it's a little too sharp compared to the arm of the guy. So I think with some tweaks, this actually could have worked. Totally. I love the idea. Great idea. It's
great. You know what I love about it? They rolled the window down at some key moment.
Yes.
And that's I just love what they're doing.
There was a lot of thought. There's a lot of cleverness that went into all that. A lot of planning without pushing too far, like doing things that you didn't really need to do just because, hey, we're doing this big wonder. Let's add this and let's add that.
Yeah.
Like I like that it stayed more in the moment.
So what instigates the crash? I
have no idea, and that's my second biggest problem of the whole thing is I do not know why that happened. I feel like this car crash could have been handled in a way to where it's like, have him react, maybe show us something that's coming before he sees it with, more of your panning, have him react. And I feel like they could have done something to where we do a motion and like, bring it into After Effects, have it start to flip the image and then go to black. So we're in there a little bit to kind of lead us into the car crash and then hear it, because as it stands, it was just
if they could have had some big old, no, that would have been a lot, but some big old practical light like right there as he comes around the corner, so that it could just enter frame enough light to kind of blow out the background
as like a car coming in.
Yeah, even just the appearance of a bright light like that, enough to give us that moment that they could then kind of do like 4, 5, 6 frames of After Effects stuff to transition back to black would be really, really nice. But
yeah, I think you're right. Some kind of light to simulate headlights coming at him with a horn that tells us they're about to have a head-on collision, and then just a couple frames like you said. I think that would have sold the moment completely.
Here's my other broad note, and I'm now realizing this now as we're watching it. I love the concept of the short and the ambition behind like where the camera is. It's even fine that it's hand panned at certain moments, like that needs to happen. But I would have loved to see that more motivated, even in the very opening shot. If they could just follow a car around,
exactly, or somebody else is just walking past, which is something that I was going to get to that'll lead into that.
Yeah, if they would have seen somebody, if it followed somebody at the beginning, and that was somebody we later came back to and saw.
Right.
Shaun of the
Dead
style.
Which is my number one problem with this whole thing is we weren't really let in on what the hell was happening. I mean, I liked to some extent that it was just this crazy thing. I've seen stuff like this before, so I can infer the type of thing that he's going for. But there were a lot of opportunities to kind of layer in a oh, okay, so this and then that, so maybe this is what's happening. So he could have been, foreshadowing what was coming with that person walking by in the beginning. He had the radio to play.
He had the radio, and honestly, that's even a moment. My next thought was like, wait, I don't know if I'd be able to find the news on the radio except like in PR. Right. So if he's doing that and it's just, oh my God, if it's just music and it's totally inappropriate music, and then he gets sidetracked before he can turn the music off, that would have been great if he could have exploited that a little more and had some like completely irreverent pop song, or not pop, but like some like, it's a perfect opportunity to put some kind of like old school like poppy song going on while horrifying looking stuff is chasing him and happening. But
even to try to help the story, I think they could have used the radio of maybe him flicking through, because I mean, if something's going on, they're going to put it on any station.
We're rewriting his short for him, but like if he found the news and then he wrecked, so then the news can play over that wreck,
right,
and we can get our explanation while he's
totally.
Yeah.
And I don't even think we needed like a full explanation.
No, just a hint.
I just think it would have been some icing on the cake to kind of throw little hints our way of what might be going on. That'll totally get me more interested in even thinking about it, because it was so well done, so well paced, and the style was so good that I would have been thinking about it more if I was given little like clue-ins to what might be happening.
You're right. I definitely wouldn't have wanted a complete explanation, because at the end of the day, I don't care. It's cooler if I don't know.
Right, exactly.
But now that I'm thinking about it, it's probably really hacky, but having him find the news right at the end and having it play out in that last shot could have been really, really cool.
Yeah, I mean, I like that too, which is, either way would have given us a little something, but I would have loved to have had little clues throughout that would have, small things like the person walking by, something about the song, or him switching something and hearing something for a second, a sign, something in the text message that clued us in. Like maybe he opens his phone and, we see his Twitter and then he goes to his text message or something. I don't know. I'm just throwing out nonsense now, but something that
Twitter
would have given us small cues.
Bringing Twitter in actually would have been really, really nice, because that would have been a really good source of...
So like doing little things like that where it's not shoved in your face, it's not super important to know exactly what's going on, but something to make me feel like there's more than just there's crazy people.
Yeah. But man, this short was really cool.
It was really cool. And I really loved how it ended, and I really loved the ideas.
I love the angle. It being at the angle was great.
And I loved how it went through the text messages while he's trying to call her.
Yeah, totally.
Thought that was great. And I love that we get this guy back.
And the camera's moving while he's coming back, and not trying to frame up for him was really nice.
Yeah, totally.
I don't love the font at the end, but that's okay.
The font would be something that I would love to see change too. But I like it so much that I would actually love to see tweaks to it. You know what I mean? Like I feel like it's right there to where something really great. Because it's also okay. You have this text message happening with this person you're trying to head to. Well, there's something more that could even happen there other than it just being, somebody's just texting. But why? Well, it's just there. So real quick, what are your favorite things and your least favorite things?
The entire concept, just locking the camera down, I loved. I loved the way they exploited the existing light. You know what? I love that he's in a cop uniform. On Halloween. I totally forgot that part. I love that because he's not a cop, and that's so much more interesting, than him being a guy not wearing a cop outfit or an actual cop. That's just a perfectly specific thing. I thought was very, very cool. I love so much about the short. Things I don't like, and this sounds nitpicky, but it really is just one of many small things that make up the whole that is your film, the fonts and stuff. I would have loved to see them alter a few things just to perfect it.
All my major issues, I think, could be fixed now without reshoots, because I imagine reshoots would be pretty freaking difficult, if not impossible.
They don't need it.
I don't think they need it. But I loved it. I thought it was a great short.
Me too.
Loved pretty much everything that you loved. I loved about it. But I think give me a few of those clues. Let me be a detective of what's going on in the world, and I think I would have really, really loved this more than I already did.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you're a budding filmmaker, entrepreneur, or innovator, domain.com is a place to go when that next idea slaps you in the cranium. And I know you probably heard the list of available domain extensions is growing, but you now have the opportunity to name your site and build your brand in ways that were not before possible. Choose from a growing list of 400 plus domain name extensions like .com, .org, .design, and .club. And to show you some love, they're giving you 25% off their already affordable prices by domain names, web hosting, and email. Just use the coupon code FilmRiot at domain.com's checkout. And when you think domain names, think domain.com.
Logo.
So that's it for today. Thank you to everyone who sent in a submission. We watched a bunch of really great stuff. And thank you to Seth for taking time to do it. And I think we will do more of these in the future. Maybe every time we'll have on a different guest or something. I'm not really sure. But I'll see you guys next week when I chop off my own hand to get out of handcuffs.
All right, then. That's our ruling.
We did it.
We've done it.
Way to go, Ryan.
How do we end this?
I have no idea.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.